And now I'd like to turn the meeting over to our esteemed president, Mr. Ralph Perry.
Thank you so much, everyone. Hello, Democrats. Okay. All right. First, I'd like to recognize, if I may, our board members that are here today. And every one of our board members works very hard during the week with lots of phone calls and emails. And they're all very dedicated, pitching in, and none of this would happen without them. And so I want to introduce them. You can stand and wave or whatever you'd like to do. So over here is Roberta Kay, as you know. Okay. Yes. And then we have Mary Morris and her husband, Tony. And let's see here. Yes, Linda Salas. She's over at the door, and she does all of our. She's taking minutes of this meeting today, so I appreciate that. Pardon me? Oh, yes, Gary, where are you? Oh, there you are. I didn't even see you before. Okay, thanks, sir. Yes, that's Gary Gary Bennett, our treasurer. And he's very good. And then we have Joan Spear over here. She's our political action chair. And then we have Bev Battis, who handles all of our dues collecting, and she does a great job. And then there's my partner, Glenn Robinson, at the piano. He took piano lessons for 30 years, so he's really good. All right, so there you go. I just want to say some further introductions because we have several people here that are leaders in our community. And I'll just go announce you as I see them. We have Joel Kinnaman here. He's with the COD Board of Trustees, and his partner, Chris. So there you go. And let's see. Of course, we already introduced Mayor Steve Hernandez from the city of Coachella. And thank you so much for coming all the way out here today. I know that was a long drive, so appreciate that. And then we also have one of our members here, Greg Ackerman. He is Parks and Rec Commissioner. And just a few words about Amalia Daatzalan, right? Okay, I'm sorry. Anyway, Amalia, as you know, just got this big award from Manny Perez and everybody over at the county supervisor for County of Riverside. So that's a big honor. She's Woman of the Year. And she used to work, just a little background, she used to work with Dolores Huerta and then also Cesar Chavez back in the day. We also, and I was going to introduce Charlie, but he's not here today. But anyway, maybe later he'll come. Okay, just another little tidbit of information.
One more.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was looking over here. Yes, Karina Quintanilla, who is our Palm Desert City Councilwoman. I got into it. I'm sorry.
Don't worry.
Right.
There's a lot going on.
Oh, I know.
Did you introduce Mr. Jaffe?
Where's Mr. Jaffe?
Yes.
Okay, yes, Mr. Jaffe. He's with the Democrats of the Desert. And we also have Marcy Maxwell here. She is the current president of that group. And so she's here today. She was she's been an assembly person in the state of Washington previously. So she knows a lot about politics. All right. Do I have everybody now? All right. So thank you for all coming today. And just a little housekeeping note, we're passing around a clipboard, which has to do with the committees we're forming. We have a lot of volunteer opportunities with the committees that we're forming. And among those is the budget committee, which we don't have like this huge budget or anything, but we still like to keep our finances transparent and confirm everything with each other, all right? And then we have the telephone tree committee, which we'll be calling, especially for our next meeting in April, we'll be calling a lot of people that if they can come to the meetings or just to check in with them, because a lot of our members are elderly and they're not able to come to the meetings, and so, but they're still very interested in politics. So we'd like to check in with them kind of as a favor for them, So then we also have the fundraiser committee, which is, it's never too early to start working on the fundraiser. And so I'll be in charge of that on the hospitality committee, but besides being the president, but we'll have a group to help with the fundraiser this year. All right, and then now if any of these committees spark an interest to you, there's a sign-up sheet going around, and feel free to sign your name, give us your name and your email address, and then we can be in touch with you. And also myself and our board members are available after this meeting. If you're new, feel free to introduce yourself. If you have time and if you have questions, feel free to ask us, and we'll do our best to give you the information that you need. Okay, and then lastly, this is just one other, we've done a lot of work on our Facebook page by Gary, and then we have our IT professional, a volunteer, Nicole Johnson. She's not here today, but she knows everything about computers, and it's nice to have somebody in our group that knows that. She's really good. And then we have Linda Salas, who does all the posting of our news stories on Facebook. So you should visit the page. It's very interesting to read and follow. So with all that being said, I want to first introduce our City Council member, Karina Quintanilla, for her remarks on keeping Palm Desert residents informed. And so we have the Honorable Karina Quintanilla.
Good morning, everyone. It's wonderful to see such a packed house and seeing the energy and the vibrancy. It's every member here that is making such a great difference in the city of Palm Desert. And I wanted to share with you that thanks to your efforts to promote 5 districts, we are now in touch with people that want to start those same in Rancho Mirage. So it's a small effort. It's a small effort. I just reached out to our attorney and said now there's growing interest in kind of getting that ball rolling. We know it's a long process, but again, thanks to Charlie, who was the champion for that cause, and every single member here. So please give yourselves the applause for your hard work. I reached out to Linda and we had a brief conversation about making some of this information accessible, because you deserve to know that if you help an elected official get to their seat, you deserve to know. And my personal philosophy is bring the government to the people. You are our residents, and I have told my peers, we don't only focus on voters. Some of you are our seasonal residents. You may be registered to vote somewhere else, but you still matter. Our children are our constituents. They don't vote, but we need to support them. So there's a whole lot of things on that side that we'll save for later. But I wanted to mention that Joan and I have been working and trying to kind of narrow down and make the language concise for those that want to send postcards to support and continue the pressure on 5 districts to the City Council. I also wanted to mention that I've had several conversations with the absolute powerhouse Congresswoman Barbara Lee. If you have not already met her, meeting her was truly inspirational. I have never been in a room with a woman that moved me so deeply, where her story paralleled mine, to where, I'm not even exaggerating, I cry every time I see her campaign video, because she brings such a diversity of life skills. And I think she really reflects what a lot of Americans have experienced. So there are fundraising opportunities that they will continue to have throughout the desert. I have the honor of attending one this Saturday, or tomorrow, sponsored by Senator Booker. So just to know that I'll be in the presence of Senator Cory Booker, sponsored or housed by the former my brain is failing me, ambassador to Argentina. So again, knowing that we have such wonderful people in our valley that are supporting democratic causes, where sometimes we feel overwhelmed by the amount of incendiary remarks by Republicans that want to diminish our values. And I wanted to also mention that part of the conversation with Linda was ensuring that we get some of this information out by email. As mentioned, not every member is able to physically come. We don't have a YouTube video that can be sent out. Sending email through video is not usually a good option and difficult. So I want to ensure that some of the links and information gets passed on to you via email that you can then share with others, including the email addresses. So there is an email address, cityhall@palmdesert.gov. It finally got shortened instead of cityofpalmdesert.org. So if you email cityhall@palmdesert.gov, that goes to the 5 council members as a blind copy, also to the city manager and city clerk. If you email council meeting comments at palmdesert.gov, that becomes part of the public record so that you can give a comment, and that goes to the council members prior to our council meeting. So those are ways to empower you if you are not able to physically be present at our meetings. And I think that may be it. And I've got some other topics that we mentioned should be maybe even a dedicated session or an ongoing voter education component to, again, bring the government to you. You deserve to know what is being brought forward. Last night, my peers have a habit of when I try to initiate a change or make a request, suddenly, oh, we need to revise that policy. And whether it's bringing an agenda item where it used to only require 2, now they need 3 because I wanted to advance something. So it is not equitable to keep changing the rules of what's been established and what is the pattern. So this is when we have deliberate obfuscation through changes in policy. So we all need to be aware of how these changes impact the way that our democracy works when people change the rules in the middle of the game. So I won't take up more of your time because I know we've got lots of speakers and lots of activity, so I'll hand it back over to Mr. Ralph.
Thank you, Councilmember Karina. Next, we have a little change in our agenda. We have Tim Sheridan here. He needs to leave to go down to a Planned Parenthood meeting all the way down to Temecula after this, which is a long way. All right, so Tim, go ahead. Tim is also a city council person in Lake Elsinore, and he is a congressional candidate for our District 41. He's already declared, and he's visiting all the clubs, as far as I know, to introduce himself and to put a face with a name. And so here he is, the Honorable Tim Sheridan. Thank you, Tim.
Thank you, Ralph. Good morning, everyone. As Ralph said, my name is Tim Sheridan. I am a member of the Lake Elsinore City Council. I was first elected in 2018. I beat a 17-year incumbent by 43 points, 71 to 28. In 2022, I was reelected. I did not have an opponent in 2022. And I think the reason why I won both of those races as I did was because I work hard. And one of the things that you're going to learn about me over the course of the next couple of months is that I'm a hard worker. I did run for Congress against Mr. Calvert in 2014 and 2016. I did not win. I got 104,689 votes in 2016. Not that I counted them, but if you looked it up, that's how many I got. And I wanted to come out today and just introduce myself, name to a face, as Ralph said. I'm going to come back, and hopefully we can do a question and answer session the next time I come back. But I do have a Planned Parenthood panel discussion that I'm doing this afternoon in Temecula, and I do have to get back. Plus, I still work. I work for a labor union, and I have been with the labor union for 27 years. I do arbitration cases. Thank you. I do arbitration cases, and I do negotiations on behalf of my members. I grew up in a union household. My dad was a Teamster, and he said, get involved with the union, and so I did. And as I said, I've been with it's National Treasury Employees Union. It's a federal sector union that represents federal employees. And as I said, I've been with them since 1996. The last thing I will leave you with is this. I don't remember. Ms. Shapiro said to me, what is your most important issue if I could make one change? And it was a very easy question for me, and this is it. Codify Roe v. Wade. That is something That is something that Democrats should have done a long time ago, and it's something that we have to work on. And when I get to Congress in January of 2025, that's one of the first things I'm going to work on is codifying Roe v. Wade. What the Supreme Court did in Dobbs was terrible. They took away a right. I mean, this is a right that we earned by virtue of being an American citizen, and they took it away. We have to fix that, and that'll be the thing I work on when I get there. And with that, I say thank you very much for the time. Council member and mayor, thank you very much.
All right, thank you, Mr. Sheridan. Appreciate your drive out here today. All right, so next we have Mayor Stephen Hernandez. He's the mayor of the city of Coachella. We thank Mayor Steve for driving here today. Mayor Steve is also the chief of staff of our county supervisor, Manny Perez. And so we'll go ahead and call him up. And here's the Honorable Mayor Stephen Hernandez from the city of Coachella.
Thank you. Buenos días. Hablo español. I speak Spanish. Good top of the day, good day. You know, before I begin, I always like to come a little bit early and see who I recognize. And I was walking around and I saw my friend Luis Garcia, who actually works here, and he's been here for 35 years, and he's a constituent of the city of Coachella, but he is your janitor, and he goes out and cleans for you guys. And I recognize Luis, and he says, "Mayor, how are you?" I said, "I'm doing good." He said, "What are you doing here?" I said, "I get to talk to like-minded Dems and inform them about what we're doing in the city of Coachella." So I wanted just to recognize Luis, because 35 years here, that's a long time. It's a long time. And so folks like him need to be recognized. I also just want to thank Ralph and obviously Palm Desert Greens for allowing me the opportunity to speak here. I've been on council for 16 years, actually 17. This is the beginning of my 17th year, 10 years, or 9 years as mayor, and I'll be able to go another year, 10, and then before that, 8 years as mayor pro tem on the council. So 17 years in public service. I started when I was 23, right out of college. I didn't have $1 million, but I shook 1 million hands, and so that's been our philosophy. We really get to put our feet to the floor, our shoes on, and we knock on doors, and we've been very, very effective. I also want to take a time too to he wasn't introduced, but Shelley Kaplan, he's a former city council member in Cathedral City. I got to serve with Shelley. What did you do, about a term? Yeah, you did a term, 4 years, and so him and I, we got to serve together and fight the good fight for the region. And but as I begin to talk today, I want to impart on you understanding as to what has informed our politics over the course of 17 years in public office. Again, I mentioned this is my 5th mayoral term, and before that, again, 2 terms on city council. And I think it's understanding that is very, very important. We live in a time right now where there is a lot of misunderstanding, or a lot of folks trying to talk about that's how you should understand them, but never once do we really hear from folks that are actually fighting the fight, are actually on the ground, and that are actually the ones in the trenches. And so I hope that as you understand me, and as you understand who I represent, and that you can come with the bigger picture, or greater picture, and greater understanding of what we're trying to do in the city of Coachella. Let me just preface and say that in the city of Coachella, we're 98% Latino. 98%. So we look a little different. And if you think about our population, our population is it's Mexican American, recently immigrated from Mexico. We are first generation, second generation Latinos. We are the worker bees of the Coachella Valley. We do not leave the Coachella Valley. We're here year long. A lot of our residents, we're born and raised in the city. In fact, you go down on Avenue 52, there's a cemetery on Jackson Street, and the vast majority of my family is buried there. And the vast majority of my neighbors are buried there, and their families. So we are here year round. And if you look at the story of the Coachella Valley, the story of the Coachella Valley has been, believe it or not, Coachella, it's a city that was incorporated in 1946, and Palm Springs was incorporated probably 1936. Indio was incorporated in 1940, and Coachella. And we were primarily a railroad town. We were a town that we actually first discovered the first artesian well of the Coachella Valley, and we are a railroad town. And there's 4 railroad town communities in the Coachella Valley: Indio, Coachella, Mecca, Thermal. And it's important to understand that because we've been here for a long time. And between here and between Coachella and Palm Springs used to be a lot of desert. And Coachella was primarily just a little bit on the economy. The Riverside County has $1.4 billion in agricultural production, and about $580 million of it is coming out of the city of Coachella. We do not do tourism. We're not a tourist economy. We do not constitute our government around tourism in that industry. For us, the ethos, the cultural ethos of our community is very worker. It's folks that work in ag. It's folks that work in hospitality. It's folks that work in the construction industry. But in terms of the city generating millions of dollars in terms of sales taxes or TOT taxes, that's not happening in Coachella. We're workers. We're the worker bees of the Coachella Valley. And if you look at our demographic, the city of Coachella, we're a 27-year-old medium age. 27-year-old medium age. I think I'm a reflection of at least when I first started. Maybe I was 23 when I first started, but half of that population is under 18. And so you think about that. There's a lot of young people out there that are their best years are yet to come. They're full of dreams and ambition, and they're full of folks that they really believe in the American promise. They really believe in the American dream. Now, it's important to also note that the median income of the city of Coachella on paper looks high. It's about $42,000, and that's not a lot of money, but for when you start filling out federal applications and state applications, $42,000 of a medium age or a medium income is actually, it looks high, and that's because there's 6 or 7, 8 people living in one house. Because if you work in the agriculture industry where your minimum wage is minimum wage, and you get 35 cents a box for picking grapes, that doesn't leave you a lot of money. At the end of the week to pay your bills, etc. So people, the families get together, and there's 8, 9, 10 people living in a home. The individual single income is about $16,000. So that's the population that we're serving. We're serving a population that is very low socioeconomic, very poor, and brown. And so when you grow up in that arena. And one of the things about the Coachella Valley is there's a lot of diversity here. And there's a lot of diversity when it comes to incomes, when it comes to race, when it comes to, what we wear and where we live. And, sometimes, and I hear it a lot, because we've been able through the last 20 years to really, move and capture some leadership positions from the local level to the state assembly to the congressional office to the county supervisor, and sometimes what I hear is like, what's in the water out in Coachella that, hey, you're forming a lot of leaders, etc. And the true reality of what's in the water is arsenic and chromium-6, but really it's created a driving force of what's informing our culture, what's informing our community, what's the catalyst that is making us so hungry for change and so hungry to just get what's fair to our community. And I think all of us, no matter where you live, if you're living in Coachella, if you're living in Palm Springs, or if you're living in Cathedral City, if you're living here in Palm Desert, we all want what's fair. And for the longest time, we have been living in a community where, frankly, resources have not been delivered. We are void of resources, and as mayor and as a council member working with my city council, we have done, I think, a really good job of bringing what is fair to our community. And what does that look like? Well, I can tell you that unlike other cities, and I love politicians, and I'm one, and we can be very windy. We're not from Chicago, but we can be very windy. But in Coachella, we try to practice what we speak, and we're moving on democratic ideals that I believe. And by the way, just to inform you, I'm kind of the mindset of the Kennedy brothers, where Robert and John and Ted, where I think fundamentally as a party, we need to concern ourselves with good housing, good jobs, good schools, good public places like parks. That's who I am. Why? Because of the simple fact that if you're not meeting Maslow's hierarchy of needs, you can't dream of other things. So for me, it's focusing on meeting those needs, and so we have constituted our government in a way where we're moving to bring in affordable housing. Just this last year alone, we brought in over 250 units of affordable housing, completely funded. Yesterday, we just approved another 109 units of affordable housing in the city of Coachella. And I'm happy to say that we're leading the Coachella Valley in building affordable housing. I do want to acknowledge the work of Karina, because just recently the city council voted to fund a couple of affordable housing projects, and I know the county's chipping in to bring that dollar in. But
if I can interrupt and brag that we are one of the cities that's closest to meeting our regional housing needs assessment. So great job, but we've been meeting that affordable housing here too.
It's Carlos Ortega was a good friend of mine. He was your city manager, and he came from Oasis. And so I actually got the benefit of serving with a lot of good and great Palm Desert leaders, like Carlos Ortega, like Roy Wilson, like Dick, and what's his last name? His last name is he was on your council, Dick Kelly. And so Dick was just a really good friend of me, and I know how they fought about affordable housing, and I know how difficult the NIMBY issues get in communities like this. And so it takes a lot of courage to stand up there and take that vote. And so I do commend that work. And what's interesting about the and I'm deviating a little bit, but what is interesting about Quimby, or I'm not Quimby, the RENA numbers, is that they're not proportioned equally. So, for example, I'm not sure what your RENA number is, Karina, probably a couple of thousand.
About 900.
900. In the city of Coachella, they hit us with 11,000 units of affordable housing.
Wow.
There's an unfairness.
We added 900 together. there. I'm not quite sure what the total number is, but that is astounding.
Yeah. So they really hit us with a big, not large number in terms of affordable housing and what we have to build, and we're going to build it because, frankly, we want to. We want to. We really believe that in our community, people have the right to good housing. People have the right to have a safe place to lay their head at night, because that's the foundation. That's the foundation of how you really, get up in the morning and have a good vibrancy in the morning, and really, make the most of your life in the morning. So we're really proud about how we're moving on affordable housing. The other thing that we've done an amazing job in the city of Coachella is building parks. We have one of the largest acreage of parkland in the city of Coachella. We have ensured that our kids have the recreational spaces to physically move, because we actually look at parks and recreation as a strategy to combat crime. Because if you take your kids and you get them in sports, or you get them in some team activity, chances are by the time they go to practice and come out, they're hungry. They're gonna shower. They're gonna eat. Hopefully, they did their homework before they went out, and they're gonna go to sleep. And so we have been really moving on bringing in good quality parks. Happy to announce that we have another $7.5 million park that's going to get built on Avenue 52, and it's in the older side of town. And I think that's great. We've invested in education in the city of Coachella. In 2014, 13, I led an effort to bring in a new library and tax ourselves to bring in a quality library. We were able to form partnerships with then President, College of the Desert President Joe Kinnaman, in which in 14, 15 we got classrooms for $1. We said this is important. So we built the library with classrooms, and then we made a deal with Joe and said, hey, bring your classes in here. And I think that's great. We are looking to strengthen, the services that the students need. The students, they need counseling services. They need, reading and writing services. I'm not a first generation English speaker. English is my second language, and sometimes you can mix things up. But I look similar to the kids in Coachella, because they need those types of services in order to learn English, proficiently. And we're hoping that down the road we can achieve some of that and get those kids what they really, really need. On the affordability side, I'm really, really pleased that we're still somewhat affordable. We've built over 300 market rate homes, but they're about 450,000. But what we've done, and then that can be kind of high, but what we've done is we've also come back with some great first-time home buyer programs. So we'll come back and help our families, our friends, buy down the cost of mortgages up to $100,000 if they qualify at $75,000 kind of medium income, and that'll help put somebody in a home. And so we really, really believe in home ownership out there. And that's one of the interesting things about Coachella, believe it or not, that we have 70% home ownership in terms of our homes. And that's the families. Yeah, but it's also tells you something about our Latino families, of where they put their investment at. Latino families, they don't know about stocks and bonds and dividends, and they don't know about that, but they do know about having a good home. And so the vast majority of them put their investment in a home, and they're good taxpayers, and that's how they move for the future. That's how they invest in the future. Is if I have a home, I'm gonna, yes, there's gonna be 8 or 9 of us in that home. There's gonna be a lot of love, because that's what we do as Latinos. We're big loving people. We're big families. We have great food, by the way, if you haven't tried Mexican food. Good drinks too. And that's how we live. That's how we live. We've done a great job too, and really moving on just transportation modalities and mobility, I should call it. You know, we were one of the first cities to come in with a transportation plan that really looked at bringing in bikeways, and so we've been able to do that in the city of Coachella, where we got a lot of cool bikeways. In fact, recently, a small little company that kids in Coachella, they formed Bound Scooters, and so some of you might have heard of Bird Scooters, but this was a company. These are kids out of Coachella that said we can do that because we think the Bird Scooters are you kind of have gone very corporate, and they started their own little company, and the city of Coachella just recently allowed them to come in, and they're going to be able to, you know, rent their Bird Scooters, etc. And it actually works for us because, unlike a lot of other communities, we're not gated. We have one gated community, and I think 32. You know, it's all very open. You know, we're a grid city too. By the way, we have railroad towns are grid cities. It's either a very brilliant design because there's walkability and connectivity, or it was a lazy design because it just kind of repeats itself. You know, but from the standpoint of how our city moves and functions, it's a grid. It's a grid, and it's a very open city. It's not a gated community, and so for us, that's just kind of the lay of the land. You know, my charge as government and leading the government, and you know, I've been through a lot of campaigns. I've been through about 7 campaigns, and sometimes they're fun, and you know, sometimes they're you know, you got to roll your sleeves up, and you got to get on the ground and do what you do. And but my charge is to bring in the resources that are fair for our community, and that's what I'm going to do. I need to get loud. I need to make sure that the resources that other communities have been able to get come our way, because when you drink the water that has arsenic and chromium 6, it kind of just creates a certain individual that that knows how to demand, that knows how to make a case, that knows how to advocate, that knows how to organize, that knows how to mobilize, that knows how to ensure that our voices are heard in the Coachella Valley, are heard in Riverside County, are heard in the state of California, are heard in Washington, D.C. That's what we have to do as leaders. That's what we do as leaders. And I know sometimes I drive people crazy because I may not use certain right words, but it's okay. It's okay, because democracy is full of choices, and we get to choose who we want to vote for. And I've been very fortunate that my voters have chosen me for the last 7 election cycles, and for me it's 17 years. I've never spoken to this group. In fact, I tell Amalia, you know, it's been 17 years that I haven't made the rounds amongst Democratic clubs. You've heard from other people perhaps that talk about one, but I'm one of the persons that believe that it's best to hear straight from the mouth of the leader or the person that's on the that's on the hot seat. And so I really, really appreciate the fact that I get to speak to you, that you get to understand where I'm coming from, because I think that's how we get a better society. That's how we create a unified democratic front. And I think it's important that I end on that, because, you know, we as Democrats need to unite. As Democrats, we need to figure out, you know, how it is that we can work through our differences. Because if you look at what's going on in this nation, there's an interesting divide that's happening nationwide. You know, a few years ago we had the Congress, and we had the Senate, and then we had the presidency. Now we have the presidency. You know, we don't have the Congress, but we do have, I believe we still have the Senate. We still have the Senate. But boy, by very little, very little. And then at the same time, you know, amongst the masses, there's a lot of confusion. You know, there's a lot of just discord about like, hey, what do Democrats really represent? And where are we going? And I think that it's important that we stick to the fundamentals that have got us here in the first place. Housing, good education, you know, good parks and rec, good schools. I need to say good healthcare too, by the way, because if I better say good healthcare. Good healthcare. I think those are winners that transcend age. That transcend age. And I really, really believe that you know that it's important that you know that we get there. And there are other items that I've missed. I know. So don't hold me to the perfect, you know, because the perfect becomes the enemy of the good. Because we're all willing to take on, you know, different causes. But we need others to come along too and be voices for those causes. But I wanted to be here to allow you to understand where I'm coming from. And I thank you for your time. I thank you for allowing me to speak. I'll probably take a question or two, and then we'll go from there.
In 2022, we had 2 open seats in Palm Desert City Council, and 2 Democrats were running for those seats, and Manny Perez, your boss, supported 2 right-wing Republicans. Could you explain that?
Yeah, talk to him. I don't. So when we.
Can you repeat the question?
So he said 2 Democrats ran in Palm Desert, and Manny did not support those Democrats for city council. And look, we have the division of offices, and his public administration piece I run at the county. We go and we do our work there. His political side, he has his team, and so you're more than welcome to talk to him about why it is that he did that. You know, what I do in his office is I really look at how we can build infrastructure, we can build, you know, support the Coachella Valley economy, but the politics is all his.
Here you go.
Mr. Mayor, how are you?
Yeah, nice to see you.
Mr. Mayor, you always give a nice speech. We know each other for a long time.
And we've been on sides.
We have been on sides. I was on your side every step of the way for Sanctuary City. But as you know, I have a great concern about what defines a Democrat. And I believe Democrats are defined by the core of who we are, which is our language. And I had a very difficult time listening to you and others use terms against Christy Holstedge like she's a real housewife of Palm Springs. She was the daughter of a peach picker. That then triggered from your devotees all kinds of homophobic slurs against her. What then became really troubling to me is that you encouraged several people, including your ex-mayor, to refer to Megan Beeman. Do people know who Megan Beeman is? Yeah. Megan Beeman is one of the most selfless people I know. She spends $1,000 out of her pocket to run immigration clinics. She's married to a man. She has 3 Mexican-American children. And do you know what your page called her? Do you recall? I have a copy.
No, go ahead.
She's a Mexican wannabe who should be boycotted and driven from the state. So I have, you know, I'm a lawyer and I document everything. And that's just a few of the things that came out of your mouth and out of the mouth of young Ruben, who we just learned today was arrested for drunk driving, and no one seemed to have known about it because the story was sat on until today. Mm-hmm. So there's a whole host of things that are going on. You actually want, you and Amalia and Joy, who didn't even have the nerve to come here today, did not support Congressman Ruiz, said terrible things about our congressman on your pages and in articles. Terrible things. Said horrible things about Christy Holstead. And now the three of you would like us to all unite under you?
No, not under me.
Under who? Are you here as the advance team in case Eddie Garcia runs in 2 years? That's what it seems like.
Well, I'll answer your question.
Now, what I want to know is how do you expect anyone to respect anyone who calls himself a Democrat to attack someone like Christie or Megan? Megan had to sell her house and move out of town because she had 3 children and she was being threatened by thugs. And I hold you responsible for that.
Yeah,
You started it. You were joined in by all of the other guys on the council, little Neftali, all that hate talk. And you scrubbed your pages, but I have about 1,000 screenshots if you want to challenge it.
I don't scrub my pages.
Yeah,
Let me just address this, because politics is a rough and tumble sport. And if you're
You think being a reporter is
look, let me but let me.
Democracy. Democracy is people speaking freely.
Yeah, no, and
It's on video.
no, and by the way, it's okay. It's okay. Because politics it's a rough thing. You got to be on the ground. You got to take it. And for as much as I can say that I said certain things, people have said a lot of things about me. People have said and have spread a lot of innuendos and mistruths, but it comes with who and what this position is, and what it is as we're not perfect. We're not perfect. We're on the public eye, and people are welcome to their own opinions, and people have those opinions, and I take the heat. But I will not. And here's the interesting things, is that even amongst Democrats, we all organize amongst people that we want to support, and we organize against other people that we don't want to support, and there's fighting going on between us. There's different camps. And you know what? That's okay too. That's okay too, because at the end of the day, the one who has the last, voice on this is the voter. And so, we've been very fortunate that the voter has sided with us. Let me finish my thought. We've been very fortunate that in Coachella, the voters have sided with us. Now, we can be better. And we'll strive to be better. But I'm not going to apologize for the fact that, when it comes to supporting women candidates, we've supported a lot of women candidates. We've got 3 women candidates elected. We got Kimberly Barraza elected to the Health District. We got Natalia Gonzalez elected to the Desert Rec District. We got Stephanie Virgen elected to
Can I ask a question?
the City Council.
I know you want to
But I think it's important that you let me finish my thought. That just because we don't support some of the candidates and folks that are doing their thing, that doesn't make us anti-women or because we have other candidates that we're supporting that are women too.
Does anybody think that misogyny is an appropriate language in a campaign by a Democrat?
No.
Raise your hand
No,
if you think.
If I
No.
can clarify, when you run for office, you have to sign an ethics statement and a conduct statement that says that you will not attack others and that you
Right.
cannot attack their families.
Go ahead.
I'm going to go ahead and ask. So I'm a lifelong Democrat. Joel's been a lifelong Democrat our whole lives. We believe in collaboration. We believe reaching out to all diversity on a field. And so I love what you say at the podium. It's everything that you want to say is correct. The problem is when you get behind your computer, you say things like, oh, so white's right. White is right. And use racial tones against people that aren't brown and try to claim that we're racist. So you need to stop, if Democrats are going to work together, wait. If Democrats are going to work together, all of us, you gotta stop using the race card against white people. You gotta stop using the homophobic language against leaders in Palm Springs.
Look at,
Please, stop.
look at, our,
Stop stepping
our-
on the throats of women.
no,
Two elections that are broken
no.
back
Let me just tell you this.
No.
That when you, going back to where we're from, 98% Latino. And when we're talking about education here, over the course of 20 years, we've passed two bonds that are $923 million for the Coachella Valley. $923 million. No. The bond is very clear. The bond that was voted on, it's in the language. I can show you the language. It said the bond said, we are to build a campus in the West Valley. We are to build a campus in the East Valley. We're going to do a specific site in Indio. We're going to address Palm Desert and community-based campus or sites throughout the Coachella Valley. Over the course of 20 years, the East Valley, we got, and by the way, this is an important fact that everybody should know because who's going to the school matters. 70% of the student population that goes to College of the Desert is coming from Indio East. When you look at who got the resources and for what they got resources for, you had people, and Joe's one of them, that supported a publicly financed hotel. A publicly financed hotel. We don't believe that we should use the public's dollars to build a hotel in Coachella. We just don't believe that. When you look at what our community got in the East Side, we got $8 million that came in the form of 12 trailers and a septic tank. And so when you live out there, when you live out there and you have to see that, and you see the inequality, when you have to see trailers and
Hold on, Chris.
They're not.
Chris,
They're trailers.
just hold on,
They're
please.
trailers. That leaves you wanting.
It's my meeting, so.
That leaves you wanting, and that leaves you in a way and in a manner where you don't feel good. You don't feel good about why, and you ask yourself, why is it that we continue to not get the resources out there? Why is it? And I don't know. Why is it? Why is it? Because we're not organized. We're not leading those conversations. No. That's what you
Hold
got.
on.
That's what you got. The facts are the facts. The facts are the facts.
No, wait.
Public records.
I want to say something too,
Can
Lynn.
I interject some public records for reality? You
Um,
were able to purchase $962,000 worth of properties right across from the new firehouse. One of those properties was from 1930. The last sales price was set, $75,000. You got it through a hard money private loan. You bumped it up to $527,000. That gives you $1 million worth of property within 1,000 feet of COD properties. Anybody know anything about disclosure rules here?
I disclose all the time.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Anyone here, Mom, that you spent $1 million on
I
these
did.
pieces of property?
Wait a minute, can I say something too?
Yeah.
Anybody know that?
Yeah. Well, I appreciate the fact that you're looking after my real estate investments. I do. But the fact of the matter is,
Hold on, Len.
the fact of the matter is,
I did RICO cases. You can go ahead and look at all of your assets?
Okay,
All
wait.
of them.
it's okay.
I'm going to say something too.
It's okay.
I'm going to say something too, and that is, there's obvious we have some disagreements here today, and it's good that we're airing those out, because we're all Democrats, and we need to make sure that we are a solid front against the Republicans, all right? And so we have challenges. We need to be unified. I know there's been some past grievances, but we need to strive for unity. Unity is the theme for 2023. Unity. And so,
Transparency.
well, what we need to not do is fight amongst ourselves. We need to fight the Republicans, all right? So do I hear applause on that? Thank you. So let's keep that in mind when it's good to air grievances, and, you know, there's a lot of history going on here, but the thing is, we are now in 2023, 2024, we need to beat the Republicans, and we all know that. And so that we need to concentrate on that instead of things that happened in the past. All right, so that's what I want to say. And do you have any other remarks, Stephen?
No, well, thank you. I just, again, thank you for allowing me to be here, allowing me to hopefully to understand where we're coming from. And so I appreciate you all. Thank you.
Okay, we have another couple of questions. Thank you for that. There's another couple of questions. There's a gentleman here, but John Siegel, why don't you go ahead?
Just real quick, I am a huge fan of unity. You guys know that I run campaigns here in the Valley, have never lost. The one piece of advice I would give is we do need to unify behind great leaders. That should be our number one goal. We should not be backing leaders who make endorsements against this club. It's very simple.
Okay, that's a good point. So we also have a man here, he's got a shirt there. Yes, and then Amalia wants to say something.
With all due respect to you, by the way, I'm David Weiner with Desert Stonewall Democrats. I also work really hard on trying to build unity and build bridges, but I'm troubled by, we all know, there was some really hateful stuff. Honestly, on the front page of the Desert Sun, where you called Christy Holstage the Real Housewife of Palm Springs. Hold on a second, please. Let me speak.
Please don't interrupt.
With all due respect, this is not your club. This is Ralph's club.
No, I know.
Okay. Regardless, Christie lost her election by 85 votes. I don't understand the animus in the East Valley against her. I don't understand what Democratic women in the desert do not endorse her, according to your own bylaws that are printed on your website. But now we, in the West Valley, are stuck with a Republican whipping boy, representing us. And that hurts, because it feels to some of us like there was a concerted effort in the east part of this valley to not unify and to make sure that Christie did not get into the assembly. Now, whether this is the perception, this is how we feel, many of us feel, I guess I'm going to say, please, should Christie decide to run again against Greg Wallace, for the love of God, please at least support our Democratic candidates across the valley, because you're asking us to support you in the East Valley. I think it's only fair that you support us in the West Valley.
That's a very good point. One thing that I remember hearing on that is that there was 1,000 Palm Springs residents that did not vote for Christy Holstage, that did vote for Will Rollins. And so we have to remember that too. It's just not one example. There's other things going on here too. And so we have Amalia here. She wants to say something, and then Karina.
On that. If Democratic women are not endorsing Christie to feminists, that means that she's not worthwhile of their vote.
That's right.
Okay, my goodness. I just received the Women of the Year award for my 50 years of activism, feminism, working for civil rights. And we have bylaws with Democratic Women of the Desert. If you ask for our endorsement, we give it to you, because there's a lot of people who might not want our endorsement because they have live in an area that is, they don't need it, right? And so there were a lot of people that said, we're going to try to have a meeting between you guys. And then we said, perfect. But we did distribute when the county, Riverside, we were instrumental in making sure that all the ones that were supported by Riverside County were passed out to the communities. And so that's how lies start. For the first time, we were told that it was a power grab that Latinos had at the COD. A power grab from who? Because as long as I can remember, we never had Latinos, 3 of them, on the board of COD.
Oh, yes, I was on.
Well, not a majority, okay? Yeah, no, we didn't. And so what we are talking about is the fact that there is not a power grab that we started. It was something that it was started by division. We have seen how Trump won by fear from one another. You guys are bad, this side is good. We, and me as a former farm worker, I can tell you that what I was trying to accomplish was to make sure that the sons and daughters of farm workers, the essential workers, also had equity, respect, and a good education. And so that's, you also have to throw in the name of Joy Silver, an activist who has done a lot of very good work in this community. And she is trying to work hard to make sure that Democrats win. So I just want to say that the lack of respect that I have seen towards my community, my Latino community, is horrendous. Okay?
If I may clarify, when I was running for office, I reversed and I declined the endorsement of Democratic Women of the Desert. I took them off my page and I gave the $500 that were given to me to Denise Delgado and Leslie Figueroa after an organization paid for radio ads to run attack ads saying that Denise was not worthwhile or not ethical because she didn't file paperwork on time, and saying that Leslie was not worthwhile because she was affiliated with other members of the community in bilingual ads, which there are still records of. So when
that is that.
You were sanctioned.
We were not sanctioned. Okay, we were not sanctioned. Are you going to allow me to talk? You had your time.
All right. I think we're good.
Let me just say something.
And this isn't a we're not going to come to a resolution here. We're not going to come to a resolution.
This is the truth.
We view things differently, and that's where we're at. And that's okay because you all have choice. You all have choice to vote for who you're going to vote for. We view things differently. That's all. Thank you.
I just want to say thank you.
I want to say thank you for allowing me to be here.
Thank you.
I want to say thank you for allowing me to give you my point of view and hopefully understand how we're viewing things. So thank you so much.
All right. Thank you, Mayor Stephen. We appreciate that and all the things that you said. And I know we have a lot of disagreements in the room today, but we need to remember we're fighting against the Republicans, not each other. So that's the main thing. Also, there's been a story running in the Yukon report. Cindy Yukon put in a story about our meeting today. You can go on the Yukon report and read it. That's been on the report. This is read by thousands of people in the Coachella Valley. With that report and this controversy, Mayor Stevens still had the courage to come out here today and speak to us. So that's very commendable. He was willing to face it. So thank you, and I would, again, strive for unity among Democrats. We need to have that in our primary thoughts. All right, so just moving on here, a couple things. Gary, did you want to come up? And then Gary and Joan are going to do things a little bit on the lighter side, so thank you.
Hey, Gary.
Yay, Gary.
Is this working? Oh, there we go. Very good. Well, first of all, I want to thank our new board. And thank Ralph for what he's doing. Charlie's created a great club here. Too bad he couldn't be here today, but we really want to carry that forward in the future. I want to welcome our new members. We got several new members in the room today, and our old members. Thank you for coming today. And I want to remind you, this is your club. You have an opportunity to participate. Hopefully you get a chance to sign the list to get involved in phone banking or postcarding or whatever other activities we have here coming up in the future. Let's see, we'll be voting for endorsements as a club at the end of this year towards September, October, and that's going to be very important. And since this is a treasurer's report, I'll just say we have $1,750 in our account right now. We actually turned in 155 member names to the Riverside County Democratic Party. We actually have closer to 170 members now, so that's it. Thank you so much.
Yes, and Gary, did you want to say something about our bipartisan T sign? Yes, well, I'll go ahead and say something about that. Okay, and that is, Gary had a wonderful idea. On March 19th, there's a big golf tournament here in PDG, and it's for the VFW. And, I'm sorry? It was, anyway, it's a big golf tournament, and the T sign that we went half and half with the Republican Club for that T sign. And both of our names, are Republican and Democrat, are going to be on the T sign right in front of the clubhouse for everybody to see. So that's a real breakthrough, I think, in the spirit of bipartisanship in our Coachella Valley. All right, and so Joan would like to also say something.
Hello, everybody. You never know what's going to happen at this club. So, makes you alive. There's an action opportunity that's time sensitive. We had a water board person here. I wanted to find out what he thought about the Salton Sea. So there's a planning commission. They're accepting public comments until March 17th. I'm passing out a paper. You can email. Almost everybody has an opinion about the Salton Sea. And so this is a Coachella issue. This is an East Valley issue. I think it's just horrible what's happening. And it will not only be an East Valley issue as the dust comes our way. So don't kid yourself. We will all be affected. So give your opinion. And if you don't want to, pass the paper on to somebody else. Yes.
I just want to make one point about that. It's kind of a schism between what they're planning on doing now, which is this little litigation, little pool, and water import. The water import question is being ignored, and that's the issue we're trying to stress. Is there any encouragement on that?
And in regards to the,
I'm sorry?
Was that the issue where you're importing from the Gulf of Mexico?
Either or. They haven't even brought up where.
In regards to the UC Santa Cruz study, I actually said, can I see the study? And they said, no. I said, under the Freedom of Information Act, I want to see your study. And I recommended that other members of the Salton Sea Action Committee, which I'm proud to be part of, and they got the same thing. No, we can't tell you. So how can you have a study with public funds on a major issue and say, no, we're not going to tell you?
Yeah. So basically, ocean water imports is an option, and that will, there's no other water. All the other plans are relying on Colorado River water. We know where that's not happening. And so without some major efforts, so let your voice be known. Thank you very much.
Okay, so there you go. Did you have something? Go ahead.
I want to also, just to let everyone know, I'm going to try to come to these meetings as often as I can. I am your elected executive board representative to the California Democratic Party for this district, for AB 47. That's why I'm very passionate about everything that's elected. So I'm gonna try to come to your meetings, Mark's gonna try to come to your meetings whenever I can, because this is what we need to do. We need to get Democrats elected, especially for the assembly next year.
That's very true. Up and down the ticket, I'll vote for a Democrat for dog catcher, you know. But anyway, it's anything from the very beginning all the way on up. One more thing, just a little note. We have daylight savings time, Saturday night. So I was wrong and I said it was Sunday, but it's actually Saturday. And so that's just a reminder. And then so, okay, with that, ladies and gentlemen, that concludes our meeting. Thank you.
I'm